I am very happy to welcome everybody to this Climate Leader 45 minutes digital launch hangout. And I'm very joyfully welcome you all to this event, and I really look forward to spend this time together with you. So we have gathered here today because of the remarkable project, a project who has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under the grant agreement 101-024-972. Remarkable are supporting local leaders to deliver a step change in the progress towards carbon neutrality by 2050 or earlier in 7 different regions across Europe. The climate emergency and the energy transition agendas require a clear leadership, ambition, courage, and conviction if our 2050 targets and goals are going to be achieved. Remarkable are creating a network of current and emerging climate leaders who through their actions and inspiration will drive their municipalities, public authorities, communities, and regions. They will transform their approaches from one focused mainly on energy efficiency and renewables to one focused on the strategic goal of climate neutrality by 2050. They will set new levels of ambition compared to the national energy and climate plans and showcase local leadership and innovation. So we now have 45 minutes together, and I'm just about to invite our special guest for today. But before I do that, I just want to encourage all of you who are part of this call that during this speech, you can please put your questions in the chat box, and after the speech, we will read the question to our guest. So we meet here because of the remarkable project, and I am very happy to welcome everybody who is here from the community. And I want to give a very special welcome to our speaker this time, who is Mr. Seamus Hoyne, who is the Dean, Flexible and Work-Based Learning and Head of Center in Thurles campus at the Technological University of the Shannon in Tipperary, Ireland. So Seamus is joining us today in our community, and his session will provide us a profile of the energy agencies across Europe and the invention actions that they are taking all over in the role as leaders, facilitators, and collaborators in delivering the benefits of the energy transitions in their region. So I'm very, very happy to give a warm welcome to Mr. Seamus Hoyne.
Good afternoon, Isabella, and good afternoon, everybody, and thanks everybody for coming today, and thanks for the kind welcome, Isabella. So I'm just going to share my screen, and as Isabella mentioned, my ambition over the next 20 minutes approximately is to give you some insights into energy agencies across Europe and their role in delivering on climate neutrality and indeed on the energy transition. Just to begin with, really, I suppose to introduce myself, and just to check, Isabella, the screen is showing okay? Slides are showing okay?
Yes, it is looking great.
Great, okay. As Isabella mentioned, my name is Seamus Hoyne. So I've been involved in the energy and climate agenda for over 25 years now. I established the Tipperary Energy Agency back in 1998 and was its chief executive and managing director up until 2012. And in recent years, I've begun working in the Technological University of the Shannon, which was previously known as Limerick Institute of Technology. And I lead on many of their sustainability and industry engagement activities. And I've been Secretary General of FEDEREN, which is the European Federation of Local and Regional Energy Agencies and their regions across Europe since 2018. I suppose primarily advocating and supporting the role of energy agencies across Europe. So by my education, I'm an engineer, a mechanical engineer, who's I suppose a passion for innovation and a passion for looking at regional opportunities for engagement in sustainable energy and climate neutrality. I'm married with 4 children, and currently I'm also undertaking a doctorate looking at the topic of sustainability in higher education. And in my spare time, to keep myself sane, I do a lot of running. And I suppose the photograph that's shown there is some of our Federer colleagues and myself running in the recent Brussels 20K run in May. And running is where I do some of my thinking, where I get to separate from technology and think about what I might do for the day, or also just to completely not think at all and de-stress. Just quickly then about Federer. Federer is a network of energy agencies across Europe, and next year it will be 35 years in existence. We have over 80 members spread all across Europe, as you can see on the map. And those 80 members represent over 900 experts who work in the energy space. And we work across 24 different countries. And Federer is one of a number of networks of energy agencies across Europe. So we are focused on local and regional energy agencies and their regions. Other networks focus on energy agencies within cities, for example. But we collaborate as a group of energy agencies across Europe. And I wanted to give you first some insights just into the scale of activity and the numbers of people working in energy agencies and what they do. Because some people on the call maybe have not engaged with an energy agency directly, or haven't had the opportunity, or perhaps not sure if they know of energy agencies in the region, what they do. And this picture I will present is from a survey we conducted as part of the Managed Energy Service, which I coordinate with a team of energy agencies and Federer for the European Commission, for SENEA, and it's there to support and network energy agencies all across Europe. So this picture of the next number of slides are representation and inputs from energy agencies all across Europe, where we conducted a survey of energy agencies to gain insights into their activities and their current status. And this is a further survey which we can compare to data which we also collected from 2017 when we completed a similar survey. So if we just look at those that responded to the survey, and as many of you know, I'm sure, when you are trying to gather data from a European projects or European activities, getting response levels to surveys can be quite difficult. So we had response rate of just over 50% from the over 300 energy agencies that exist in Europe. And we just from those that responded to the survey, we asked them, how many staff do you have? You know, how big are you? And you can see the average number of staff in our energy agencies is 17. And we have over 2,500 people just in those that responded to the survey working on the energy transition. And if we extrapolate that out, we could estimate that there are close to 4,000 people working in energy agencies across Europe. And I often, I suppose, use the picture of people being responsible for things is that, you know, when these people get out of bed in the morning, their one job is the energy transition. They're contributing to the energy transition and the climate neutrality ambition. And that's what they all, these 4,000 people, that's what they work at. That's what they are committed to. That's what their ambition is, to contribute and make a change and make a difference every day. And if that was a company located in one of our cities, we would think that they are one of the greatest things and most important things in that single location. But these 4,000 people are spread all across Europe in every country within Europe. So they're a critical base and fulcrum and number of people that can deliver on the energy transition. And we asked them, I suppose, what's your current status? Are you busier than you were before, or what's happening in the last number of years? And the resounding answer back from all of them, the majority of them, is that there's been a big increase in demand for their services. So some would say that this is what we would expect because of the increased funding, the Green Deal, and all of the other activities that are driving the climate agenda. But it clearly shows that at local and regional level, energy agencies now are seen as critical to the delivery, and people are reaching out to them, whether it's their own local authorities or regional authorities, businesses, enterprises, individuals within the community are looking to their energy agencies for support. And we can see 64% of them have seen a strong increase in demand for their services. And what are they looking at? What are the types of things that are changing now in their energy agencies? So there's an increase in the services and the activities that they're doing. So more and more activity. But they're also seeing new topics emerging that they have to deal with. In some cases, changes in structures. These can be influenced by growth, or changes within the local and regional authority structure, or their funding models, for example. And more demand for projects, more demand for consultancy, more demand for expertise. And we can see new topics that are emerging also for them to address. So that could be on topics of the growth in photovoltaics, which we can see across Europe has been an astounding growth model over the last number of years. The topic of energy communities and renewable energy communities has become a very hot topic at a local and regional level. And this is where local people, local industries, local communities can come together to generate renewable energy and trade it to themselves. And it's a key pillar of the Renewable Energy Directive. A big focus on climate neutrality, climate mitigation. So the language is now moving towards climate mitigation, climate neutrality, and carbon being the critical component, and not just singular language around energy efficiency and renewables. And some energy agencies are now calling themselves climate and energy agencies, and more are becoming involved in the climate adaptation topic, or working with those that work on climate adaptation. What we're also seeing is more and more complexity within the projects that energy agencies are dealing with. They're becoming bigger in terms of scale of investment. They're becoming more complex in terms of integration of energy efficiency with renewables, with smart technology, and with mobility. And many energy agencies now being requested to manage funds on behalf of local and regional authorities. So these could be grants or subsidies in support of the energy transition, or tackling areas such as climate neutrality. If we look at the types of activities then, and the importance of those for the energy agencies, and you can see that the key priority or key focus area of their activities is supporting their region, their local authority, or their city on the energy transition. Then they're typically brought in on specific projects. So maybe it could be an urban mobility plan. It could be a large scale rollout of PV. It could be looking at district heating and cooling, for example. Energy agencies have been around for many, many years, and in many cases, they started out by providing information, conducting awareness, perhaps doing some training, and we can see that that's still a core activity because citizens, industry, enterprises, and SMEs and the public bodies still need information. There is a continuous job to raise awareness. We do this general facilitation, and I'm going to explain our particular approach to facilitation with energy agencies and why that is such an important word for us in the facilitation model within energy agencies. And some energy agencies are also energy managers for public buildings. So that could be for headquarters of the local authority. It could be across a multiple type of buildings that are at a public sector. And you can see that the most important activity that they keep coming back speaking through is facilitation. Energy agencies are experts about future planning and strategy. And Isabella mentioned the agenda towards climate neutrality and carbon neutrality. Energy agencies have lots of competencies in strategic planning and providing advice to those planners on how we can achieve climate neutrality and what that means for our localities and our regions. We can see information awareness is still there, energy management buildings, and delivering on projects. So one of, I suppose, the key sentences I often use for energy agencies is they translate European, national, and indeed local and regional ambition into reality on the ground. So they deliver projects, they deliver kilowatt hours of savings, they deliver kilowatt hours in renewable energy, and they deliver savings in carbon. And this facilitation model, this facilitation word, very simple word, but what does it mean in reality? So energy agencies are typically what we call market facilitators. And energy agencies are predominantly have a public mandate, and they are also non-profit. They are product independent, and they have been around for a long time. So they have competencies, they have expertise, and they have knowledge. They provide technical assistance for public and private sector. So many of our energy agencies work with the public sector as a core partner, but they also work with the private sector. So that could be a network of businesses in the local region. It could be an industry cluster. It could be working on developers of renewable energy projects in biomethane or PV or other areas. And we are experts at networking and bringing stakeholders together, but also working at across multiple governance levels. And this speaks to that complexity issue, in that in many cases we have national investment and subsidy programs for energy actions. They are translated at a regional level, and we also might have European funds and European governance models to navigate. And many energy agencies have the expertise to work across these different levels. And we provide that regional context and regional competence across many, many technical areas. So we work across buildings, we work across renewables, we work across mobility, we work across climate, but we also look at the policy, we look at the finance and the economic aspects. And many of our energy agencies have developed and are developing that expertise of blending multiple funding models. So you can see at the heart of energy agencies is trying to make things happen. We are a leg on a stool where multiple partners exist, and we collaborate to try and make projects happen. So in developing this presentation, I thought, I could spend 20 minutes giving you lots of examples of projects. I've decided to only show 2, but really to direct you to lots of other examples that exist. And many of those examples are collated in a publication produced by FEDERN, which is available on our website, looking at sustainable regions in action. And the examples cover a multitude of thematic areas. They show the deep experience that energy agencies have in delivering on the energy transition. And they also show our experience about success. And many of the case studies that are presented are built on lessons learned from failures or things that didn't work exactly as we thought they would. And we built on those and tried to deliver innovation. And in this one example of best practice, and there are many others from other sources across Europe, but I suppose this one presents a wide scope of activities. You can see best practice on the development of renewables, the topic of the circular economy, climate adaptation, the just transition agenda in terms of bringing people to climate neutrality in a just and fair way, working with enterprises and SMEs, tackling energy communities, working at governance level, and also dealing with youth and the young people of today. So just 2 quick examples, and this one comes from Croatia, from our colleagues in Rigea, where really, as you can see on the slide, where they have focused a lot of expertise is using European funding tools and models to scale the decarbonization of buildings and the implementation of a solar PV. They've used multiple funding models through European funding, the European Investment Bank, through the ELENA program, and you can see the scale of investment. So these are large projects, making fundamental changes to how public buildings work, how citizens using those public buildings perceive the energy efficiency and the sustainability of the public sector in Croatia. And similarly, I couldn't stand here and not speak about one of our projects from Tipperary Energy Agency. The TRESS project is moving beyond the region of just the Tipperary Energy Agency across a much wider region and collaborating with multiple local authorities to scale up investment in renovation of public buildings. The public sector has been given a mandate to take the lead on decarbonisation in Ireland and across Europe. So how do we do this? How do we finance it? How do we bring investment grade audits to the market and aggregate projects at scale? Quickly, I suppose, where energy agencies sit in the policy framework and conscious of time. We at FEDERN collaborate with our other European networks when new policies and legislation is emerging. And this was certainly the case over the last number of years as the Fit for 55 package was going through the Commission and the Parliament and the Council for ratification. And we worked to bring information to the policy makers to make sure they understand the challenges and from the ground up. So we fed a bottom-up process into the legislative process. And that's, I suppose, a critical piece for FEDERN and for energy agencies, for those 4,000 people that work in the sector, that we advocate for the right policies and measures to support the energy transition. So just want to, I suppose, pick up on some of the points that are in a couple of the directives. So picking on the Energy Efficiency Directive in particular, it makes specific reference to energy agencies in Article 5 on the public sector leading on energy efficiency, and that public sectors should reference their energy agencies and involve them in the development of their sustainability and energy efficiency strategies. And they are encouraged to support and develop energy agencies across Europe. And also in the recitals, energy agencies are mentioned in the context of having the expertise and acknowledging their role in delivering on energy efficiency and sustainability. And putting, I suppose, pressure on member states to support energy agencies, and that topic of facilitation also comes up through the Energy Efficiency Directive, whether it's potentially developing one-stop shops or being that market supporter at a regional level. There's also reference to areas where we already work on. So local heating and cooling plans is now a requirement within the directive. Energy agencies can support delivering on those. We're already working on public procurement. We have energy efficiency first already as one of our values within our energy agencies. So the directives, I suppose, embody some of our core values and activities. The Energy Efficiency Performance Directive also references energy agencies. Again, you can see in the recital shown on the screen. So again, energy agencies are now embedded as core within some of the Fit for 55 directives, which I suppose strengthens their position, but also influences the importance of the work that they have done in recent years. I suppose some closing remarks. First of all, on our manifesto, and I suppose this was a manifesto developed particularly in light of the recent European elections. Certainly in Ireland, they're still counting votes. We still don't have a clear picture on who our MEPs will be. But I suppose I speak to this manifesto from FEDERN from two perspectives. If we look at those points on the left-hand side, they're focused on people. So whether it's the energy transition first, the principle being a just transition, empowering local leadership so that we make sure we support communities, looking at climate neutrality one-stop shops, so going beyond one-stop shops just for renovation, but making them about climate neutrality, and one-stop shops being there to support citizens and people on their climate neutrality journey, and empowering youth. Hopefully some of you got to see the Manage Energy talk last night from Clover Hogan, speaking about reimagining, a young person reimagining our energy future. And on the right-hand side is perhaps more the technical topics that we're looking at, or technical finance, where we wanted to look at competitiveness, resilience, islands as innovations and innovators, heating and cooling, and an action-focused European budget. So FEDERN and energy agencies have collectively developed this to show that we need to not just look at technical solutions, we need to look at people, and we need to look at money and financing. And finally, the last few slides really speak to Manage Energy and the fact that both at a European level and across the sector, energy agencies are not standing still. We realize that we have to develop our capacity to get things done faster, better, bigger. So Manage Energy is there as a support and a capacity building service for energy agencies. We run masterclasses. We hold expert missions where people visit new and emerging energy agencies. We have developed Manage Energy Talks, one which was held last night as part of USEF. And we are now implementing a new innovative work shadowing where people will come to existing energy agencies to gain expertise. And we also run a range of online seminars similar to the ones from Remarkable. And just some photographs from our activities. This is a recent masterclass where we're looking at the development of one-stop shops. So very much activity-based, blended learning to facilitate as much engagement as possible. And then expert missions are where we send an expert to an existing energy agency that's looking at expansion or strategic challenges, or new regions looking at with energy agencies that want to develop their future plans. And we spend 3 days working intensively with those energy agencies in those regions to develop their future plans. So I suppose in conclusion, energy agencies have a long legacy. And I think that's really important. While we have had growth in the last number of years, that growth is built on a very strong foundation and a legacy of expertise and knowledge. They have expertise, they have the capacity and the ability to deliver on the energy transition and climate neutrality. They are growing in scale and number and this expertise, which I think is a really important need for the regions of Europe. And I would say they are the secret sauce to delivering on climate neutrality. Because now the challenge, now that we have a very strong policy and legislative framework developed by the hard work of legislators and politicians and the Commission over the last number of years, now it is about implementation. How do we deliver that ambition on the ground? And energy agencies are a key to that success. So thank you for listening. Those are my contact details. Please do reach out to FEDERN. Please do connect with Manage Energy, and please do follow and connect with the Remarkable initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Seamus. That was a really interesting presentation. And we are so happy to get to know more about the energy agencies and the important role they play in the energy transition and the journey for Europe to become the first climate neutral continent, as the EU Commission has targeted us to do. So we have some questions for you. So I would like to ask you the first question we have received from Jacobo Fernando, who is asking, with the growing focus on digitalization and smart technologies, how are the energy agencies integrating these advancements into their strategies?
Thanks, Jacobo. Great question. We actually in FEDERN have recently set up a working group looking at, for example, AI in the energy transition. And this is also an agenda item for the European Commission, and SENEA are working on this, and the DG ENER. Many energy agencies now would work on projects where smart technologies and indeed smart buildings are developed. So we would have expertise or collaborations with companies that are developing that technology. So we can see it in the graduates that we were hiring, indeed, into our energy agencies. We tend to start to look for people who have expertise or completed degrees or postgraduate programs that have expertise in smart buildings and smart technology. But we're aware of the critical and rapidly changing market. So we often in energy agencies have to collaborate with industries in our region and experts. And that's part of our makeup and our network also, in that if we don't have the expertise, we will find an expert to work with us. Hope that supports or answers your question.
Great, Seamus. We have some more questions from Jacobo, where he's asking, he's also interested in learning more about how can smaller and less economically developed regions benefit from the initiatives and expertise of larger, more resourceful energy agencies.
Yeah, another good question. I mean, I think critically the piece there is networking. So that might be joining FEDERN or a similar other European network where you get access to expertise. And the critical piece here is learning from what everybody has done already, rather than at a smaller energy agency. They perhaps do not have the capacity or the scale to start everything from a blank page. They can take templates of how things are done from other energy agencies across Europe. And I can speak from my personal experience. When I started Tipperary Energy Agency many years ago, I was one person, one laptop, and one table and one chair with a lot of work to do. But I used connections through experts in Austria and other energy agencies across Europe to guide my work. So they gave me the advice, the expertise, and the knowledge to take templates that had worked in those countries and those regions and develop them into my the activities of the Tipperary Energy Agency. And indeed, in some countries at a regional level, smaller energy agencies are coming together to collaborate, to seek funding, to build expertise. So that's another, and I know particularly in Sweden, the energy agencies work at a national level collaboratively to support each other. And that happens across many of the European countries.
Yes. And that story you're giving, Seamus, is also reminding me of the first Climate Leader lunch hangout when we had Mr. Raul Garcia, where he spoke to us. And he was sharing almost exactly the same story. He was on his own with a laptop, with the one desk and one chair. And now, years after, a lot of people have come into play, and the work is running in a bigger scale. So we had one more question in the chat box here, also from Jacobo. Similarly, he says, I would like to know, in your opinion, what role universities and educational institutions play in supporting the work of energy agencies across Europe?
Another good question. Obviously, I'm biased. I think universities are critical in the energy transition from a couple of different perspectives. The first, I would say, is from addressing the skills challenge. We have a skills shortage and a human resource shortage and a knowledge shortage across Europe, whether it's related to renovation of buildings, scaling up renewables, integrated mobility and smart mobility. We need more and more people in that sector. So universities need to become more innovative and flexible and agile in delivering experts out into the market. So whether that's on developing micro-credentials or the ability for people to study in different regions of Europe, universities have a key role to play, and not just themselves, but also working with the further education, the vocational education sectors to deliver people who can work on the energy transition. I think the critical other piece then, and those people then go and work in the energy agencies. I think the other critical role of universities is on innovation and bringing innovation to the market as quickly as possible, but bringing that innovation to the market so that it can be applied as quickly as possible. And that's where energy agencies and universities collaboration is critical. So energy agencies know and see the challenge to deployment of technology and systems, and they can provide advice to universities on how their research and innovation activities might be tailored to scale up activity at a different level. I suppose the third point I would make also is, and a reference back to something Clover mentioned in her talk last night, but also the critical role of convincing people and behavior change. There are a lot of experts in the social sciences within universities who are now becoming involved in sustainability agenda. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I'm an engineer, but I don't talk about technology much anymore. I talk about people and money. And I've had, really begun to understand, and I think that also the remarkable project at the heart of it is that people are the key to success here. If we can't convince the leaders that they need to deliver on climate neutrality, then we are all in difficulty. So universities have a lot of expertise on the social sciences, on ethnography, on behavior change. And I think the collaboration should be there between universities and energy actors, and particular energy agencies.
Yes, Seamus, thank you. You cannot emphasize enough on that. It's really one of the keystones to success with energy transition. People is really needed to be involved. So there is one more question also from Jacobo asking, lastly, what advice would you give to young professionals or students who are interested in pursuing a career in sustainable energy and environmental management based on your experience in working with the energy agencies?
So the advice I would give is there are lots of opportunities there for young, ambitious people wanting to work in energy agencies and the energy transition. I think you need to be prepared to be innovative, and I think you need to be prepared to be collaborative. Energy agencies they get up every day to work with people to deliver on the energy transition. And the energy challenge is not something that can be solved by one organization or one person on their own. So the key skills that I look for in the people that I recruit are initiative, ability to collaborate, and ability to deal with complex problems that involve technology, people, money, policy, legislative aspects. But I think it's a really exciting time for a young professional to come into the world, because growth will only continue in the sustainable energy sector. So I think reach out to your local and regional energy agencies. If they don't have roles for you, they may know of other local and regional energy agencies across Europe that are looking for young, ambitious people.
Yeah, that's really true. So all young people is so welcome to get in touch with us, and we can guide you forward so that you can approach your regional energy agency if you don't know where it is located. So we have another question from Sean. I would like to know if European agencies are working with other agencies from other continents to achieve climate neutrality together.
Like at a European level, the Covenant of Mayors is probably the largest initiative focused on climate neutrality and the energy transition, and it collaborates with cities and regions and their energy agencies globally. And if you look for the Covenant of Mayors website, you can Google it. You will find their links and their networks with other actors all across Europe. At some levels, energy agencies have their own partnerships with across Europe. So I know, for example, the energy agency in Upper Austria, they have built extensive expertise in the area of decarbonisation of heating and bioenergy, and they do a lot of collaborations with North America, for example. I know other parts of Europe will work with energy agencies or similar actors in Africa and other regions, and indeed in so is there a large strategic structure where, for example, Federan works with other networks across Europe? I would say no, but there is international collaboration.
Thank you so much for that answer, Seamus. So Jacobo is also giving his gratitude. He says, Mr. Hoyne, thank you for answering my questions so clearly and insightfully. Your expertise and perspectives on energy agencies and sustainability were incredibly valuable. I appreciate your advice, time, and guidance.
No problem. You're welcome.
Yes. So maybe this will be one of our last questions. We have spoken a lot about the role of the energy agencies, what the crew is doing today. We saw some beautiful projects of great impact. And if we would look a bit into the future, Seamus, if you will take the crystal ball and see what you think would be like the next step for energy agencies.
So I think the next 5 years, if I look at if I look to 2030, I think the things that we have to try and find a solution to is the issue of scaling energy communities and finance. I think there is confidence in the legislative framework and the policies and the ambitions. They are incredibly ambitious and challenging to achieve. And the message from Europe, the message at a local level, at a regional level is how now do we get the investment to make the transition? And that's across everything. It's mobility, it's hydrogen, it's offshore wind, it's biomethane, it's decarbonization of buildings. If it was just one, then it's a much easier answer. But policymakers are now having to make decisions about what we invest in first, or do we invest in everything? How do we deal with energy poverty and make sure that we don't leave anybody behind? And it's very clear that public funds cannot do everything that we need to do. So we need private investment. We need funds from private sources. So whether it's individuals renovating their own buildings, or leveraging investment funds into public sector renovations, or heating and cooling technology. And certainly in our energy agency in Tipperary, those are the critical things that we're looking at is the money and component. I think energy communities will be absolutely disruptive. They have the potential to be disruptive. They are being disruptive in some countries because the legislative framework has been transposed. In other countries, not so. And I think if I go back to the question that was on smart technology, I think energy agencies need to very quickly get to understand the role of digitization and AI in our worlds, because in 12 months' time, how we deal with the processing of energy data from an energy audit will be done very differently because of digitization and AI. So we will have to upskill our staff and change our systems. And I think in 2030, I would also say that's a 5-year perspective. I think the remarkable project is taking a 2050 perspective, because we are not done in 2030. We are only beginning. Some people here might do some climbing or some hiking, and you know that point when you're climbing a mountain and you go over the first peak and you think, oh, I'm nearly there, but actually you've just got over the first little hill, and actually in front is the bigger peak with the steeper climb that you haven't seen. So 2030 to 2050, we've got to climb a bigger mountain, which is steeper, and we had to do it faster. So I think to 2050, we will see energy agencies will be climate and energy agencies. I think increasingly we will be dealing with climate adaptation. The UN's report last week and Antonio Guterres' presentation of the facts of where we're at in terms of temperature increase is quite scary. So we have a huge volume of work to do, but I'm the eternal optimist. So I think we are in a good position. I think we need to advocate more for energy agencies, and I think we have a key role to play in supporting our citizens in our regions to have a sustainable lifestyle, sustainable planet into the future.
Yeah, that's really great. We have to all keep that optimism and believe it's possible to make the energy transition fulfilled. I think it's really important for the future in all ways. So it was a really delight to have you here, Seamus. I'm so happy we could have this talk. So just like if we have now some people in the audience, say somebody's here with us that are maybe new to the concept of energy agencies, say they are working in a municipality somewhere in Europe, and they feel they want to get in touch with their local energy agency, what is the best way for them to find the energy agencies?
So there is a full database of energy agencies that are registered with the Manage Energy service on Manage Energy. So if people just Google Manage Energy, or the link is on the end of my slide deck, which I'm happy for you to share, they will be able to search and find their energy agency in their country, in their region, or indeed they can look to Federen, and that subset of energy agencies, they would be able to connect with their local and regional energy agency that is currently a member of Federen. So, but Manage Energy is certainly the starting point, and there are lots and lots of case studies and examples of the work of energy agencies that are there.
That's really great. I will put the link in the chat box here to the audience. So if anybody just want to click it, it's available. So we are going to wrap up this wonderful day together. So we have to start to close here. So I want to give a big thanks to everybody from the audience who were here sitting, listening with us. I want to thank you for all the great questions, everybody who are joining this conversation afterhand in the recording. Also a very, very big thanks to you. And Seamus, of course, a very big thanks to you, and very much gratitude that you could be here with us today.
No problem. Thanks very much. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much to everybody.
Take care.